Hello everyone, this is Suroj here. Welcome you all to my channel. Today I will show you how to create a Lambda function that will start stopped EC2 instances and will stop running EC2 instances. You see, this is the diagram. This is one Lambda function. What it will do, it will start stopped EC2 instances and it will stop running EC2 instances. Let me go to the AWS console and we'll implement the same. See, I'm in Lambda dashboard. What we'll do, we'll create a function and I will name the function name as manage EC2 and the runtime I will choose node.js16.x and in the execution role, okay, first one is create a new role with basic Lambda permissions. Okay, let it be as it is. I will click on create function. See, our Lambda function is now created. Fine. Now what we will do, we will develop the code so that the Lambda code can start a stopped EC2 instance and stop a running EC2 instance. I already have developed the code here. What I will do, I will just copy this and paste here. I have copied it and will paste it. Fine. Now I will deploy it, and if I go to the first line, see here something is commented, event should be as below. So in the event of this Lambda function, the instance id should be mentioned for these two instances. Okay, so I already have created two EC2 instances. See here, those are running now, and if you see the id, last one is cb2 and for the second instance last digit is bd9. See, those are mentioned here. So what I will do, I will copy this and will click on test, and it will ask me to create an event and we'll paste the event here. Fine. I'll click on save, and now what I will do, I will click on test. See, it is showing unauthorized operation. You are not authorized to perform this operation. Why? Because the Lambda function does not have permission to start an instance, to stop an instance, to describe the instance status, all these things. See here in this code, what we have called, see, ec2.describe instance status, again ec2.stop instance, ec2.start instances. Fine. So all these three actions we have to provide to the Lambda function role. Fine. So what we need to do, we need to go to configurations and permissions. See, this is the role which is attached to this Lambda function. So I'll click on this role. See here, this is the policy which is attached to this role. Fine. So this is the CloudWatch log group and log stream permissions which are attached to this role. So what we need to do, we need to attach another permission. So I'll click on attach policy. So I'll create one policy. So the policy will be for EC2, right? I'll choose EC2. It should be in list maybe. Yeah, here it is. Describe instance status. Yes. See, this is the one, describe instance status. So the same thing we have used here in this code. If I go to index.js, see, fine, and another to stop instance and start instance. These two things we need to select. So it will be in right where it is. Let me scroll down. Yes, stop instance, start instance. Fine. So these three actions has been provided now. So I need to save this, and for which resource, this will be applicable for all the EC2 instances in this account, any in this account. Fine. Next, go to tags, next review. I will name the policy as EC2 policy. Fine. create policy. The policy is now created. Now here I will refresh this and I'll search for EC2 policy. See, this is the policy. I'll select this and we'll attach the policy to the lambda function role. Fine. It's now attached. Fine. Now what we need to do, we need to go to the lambda function and we'll again click on test. See, now what it is saying, those instances were in running states, right? See, here it is showing that instance stopped with this instance ID, instance stopped with this instance ID. So those IDs are matching. Let me refresh the EC2 instance dashboard. Refresh. See, those are getting stopped. Fine. So it will take some time to update the instance state, right? So let's wait. Yeah, see here, those are now stopped. Now, if I go to the code, I'll show you what the code is actually doing. See, this is the line where we are just importing AWS SDK. Here we are mentioning the default region for this code, right? So here we are mentioning the API version which we are using in this code. So here you see this is the handler function. This is not asynchronous. This is synchronous. So that is why I have removed async. Fine. So event, context, and callback. All these three arguments I have passed here. And what is event? And through this event, we'll push the input or we will pass the input. See, so this is the event actually. So line number 1 to 3. Fine. So this is the event. Here you see I have created one variable params and within that what it is storing, it is storing instance IDs. What is instance IDs? So instance IDs equals to event dot instance ID. That means this is our event dot instance ID. That means this value is getting stored inside these instance IDs. Fine. So this instance IDs is an array because this is an array, right? Array means this is a collection of instance IDs. And now if you see include all instances true. What is this? By default the value of this include all instances is false. So this is true means whatever the instance IDs will be mentioned, so the instance ID will be of those instances which are running, which are stopped, which are in pending state, which are in stopping state. It will consider all the states, right? But if the include all instances is false, that time it will consider only the running instances. Fine. Okay. So now if you see the state of the instances are stopped, right? No, so if the value is false, okay, by default this value will be false. If this value is false, so the instance IDs will be this and these instance IDs will not be considered for this program because those are not running. Fine. So what I will do, I will deploy this and we'll click on test. Let's see what is happening. Test. See, can't read properties of undefined. Reading instance state, right? Same. So uncaught exception, some exception occurred, right? So again what I will do, I will make this as true and now I will deploy this and now I will check whether the status of those instances are getting changed or not. Those should be running, right? See, instance started with this and this, fine. And if I go here, see, those are in pending state and very soon those will be in running state. Fine. Till then, let me explain the code to you. Okay, see here. So within this params variable, we have stored instance IDs. This is which is an array. Array means is a collection of instance IDs. Fine. And include all instances will be true because we are considering any types of instances, including running instances, stop instances, pending instances, stopping instances, everything. Fine. All states will be included. Fine. And here you see EC2 dot describe instance status. This method we are calling and it is taking this params variable. So param variables means this is the value. Fine. So params variable and callback function. So if this gets completed, then this function will be called. Fine. Whatever the result ec2.describe instance status is returning, that will be passed to this function. Fine. And if there is any error occur, then it will return error. If error, then console log error. If not error, then we will do something with the data. Fine. But if you see here, we have created one for loop here before writing if else. Why? Because we are working with more than one instances, right? So that is why we are using a for loop, so that we can traverse through all the instances. So the initial value of I equals to 0, and what will be the maximum value of I? Event dot instance id dot length. What is event dot instance id? So event dot instance id is this. This is an array. So array dot length. What will be the length? 1 and 2. Values are there, right? So dot length will be 2. That means I equals to 0, I less than 2. I less than 2 means the value of I will be I equals to 0 and I equals to 1, because 1 is less than 2. When it will be 2, 2 is less than 2, that is false. That means the for block will execute for 2 times, or for loop will execute for 2 times. So where for loop is getting closed? Here, I think, right? Here the for loop is getting closed. See? So within this for loop, if there is any error, it will throw an error. But if there is no error, that time it will work with data value, right? See here, we have created another variable named params. This is a local params variable within this else block, and within this params, what we are passing? We are passing instance IDs. Again, we are passing instance IDs. But this time, if you see, we are not passing an array. What we are passing? We are passing an element from the array. See, so this time within this instance ID is a is an array, right? So within that array, we are passing one value at a time. So event dot instance ID, which index? 0 index for I equals to 0. So what will be the value? This is the value. Fine. So we are passing this one, and that will be stored inside this array, right? So this is array sign opening and closing. Fine. And within that, within double quotation, so this value will be there. Fine. Now see, again we are calling, we are just checking if data dot instance statuses I, that means 0 dot instance state dot name equals to running. That time what we need to do, if the status is running, that time we will call stop instances. Again we are passing params, so this param means this one, right? Not the previous one. So we can name this param as any other variable like abc xyz ec2 instance, anything. Fine. So params, we are passing params, and after once this is passed, then it will go to this callback function, and if there is any error, it will show the error, and if there is no error, it will go to else block, and it will simply print instance stopped with instance id this event dot instance id 0. Fine. So because I value is 0, so event dot instance id 0 means this value. Okay. So the instance with this instance id will be stopped. Fine. So if the status of the instance is not stop and not running, instead it is stopped, so what will be the next course of action? We need to start the instance. Fine. ec2 dot start instance, we are passing params variable. So this params variable, and in the callback function, if there is any error, it will show the error. Otherwise, it will send a message, or it will show a message like instance started with instance id event dot instance id I. Again, in event dot instance id 0, that means this instance will be started if it was in stop state. In console means in else block. So see, within this else we have one if, one else if, another else. So that can this scenario has happened like when we have started the instance, the state will not be running. it will be pending, after that it will be running. While the state is while the instance is in pending state or in stopping state, so that time the state will not be running or not be stopped. So that time if we trigger this in lambda function, so it can't find that the instance is stopped or running. Okay, so that time we can show this message: the instance with id this is neither running nor stopped. Fine. So this is the explanation. And if you see at the end of the handler function, I have called uh, a callback function, the callback function of the handler function, the callback null success. If there is any error, it will return nothing, that is null. And if it got succeed, it will return success message. Now what will be your question, that from where we have got this? Let me show you. So what I have told you, if this function get passed or this function gets successful, that time the return value will be passed to this callback function. And once this callback function gets completed, so that time what we will get, we will get data, and after that we will do something with this data. So within this data everything is there, and if there is any error, it will simply show the error in this if block. Fine. So what I will do, I will print the data block data inside else. Fine. Here console.log data. Fine. So let's see what happens. Deploy test. See what it is showing. When in the for loop I equals to 0, that time it is printing data. So this is the data. Fine. So in this data, instance status is there, and instance status is an array. See, it is opening with this square bracket and closing with this square bracket. Fine. And this array includes two value. This is one value and this is another value, right? So once I equals to 0, and you see the details for instance id, this is mentioned here in this block. Fine. And the details for this instance id is there in this block. Fine. Now again, when I equals to 1, that time also we are getting data like this. And the same thing, instance status is an array, opening square bracket, closing square bracket, and two elements are there. This is one, this is another one. Fine. So how we can get the instance status? Fine. So data dot instance status. So that time what it will show? It should show this one up to this. Fine. So okay, let me print that only. So console.log data dot instance statuses. I'll comment it out and we'll deploy this. Click on test. See, we have got the array. When I equals to 0, we have got this. When I equals to 1, we have got this one up to this, right? Now what I will do, I will print, we are inside for loop. Now I will print this I. That means when I equals to 0, that time it will print the first one. When I equals to 1, it will print the second one. That means details of the second instance. Deploy, and I'll click on test. See, when I equals to 0, we have got this one, this value. When I equals to 1, we have got this value. So see, this is instance 1, this is instance 2. And if you see within this instance status, instance state is there, right? We'll print this instance state now. Console.log data dot instance status I dot instance state. Fine. I will comment out this line and click on deploy and test. See here. Now we are getting this instance state. So this is the instance state for the first instance and this is the instance state for the second instance, right? Now how we can get the instance state value? So this is stopped and this is also stopped. So dot name, what we need to do? Dot name, right? Whatever we have, we need to just include dot name. Dot name. So what I will do, I will comment this out and we'll deploy this. Let me click on test. See what is the status of the first instance, that is running. For the second instance the state is running and those are running. So that is why if you see instance stopped with this id and instance stopped with this id, because those are running, that is why those are getting stopped, right? So if I go to index.js, now see whatever we have written here is equal to the condition. See, this condition equals to the value of the condition equals to running, or the statement equals to running, and see the same. So that is how we got the value that will be running or stopped or something else, right? So every time we are showing you both are either both are stopped or either both are running. So what I will do, I will just manually start one instance. Now see here, so the first instance is running and the second instance is stopped. So if I run the lambda function, what should be the result? The first instance should be stopped and the second instance should be running. So that is our desired output. Fine. So what I will do, I will comment this line. I'll click on deploy. Click on test. Now see, instance stopped with this ID and this one got started. Let me click on this. It was running and it was stopped. Now if I refresh, just see, it is stopping, it is pending. That means it is getting stopped and demo to this EC2 is getting started, right? That's it for now today and we'll see you in the next video. If you really like this video, kindly like, share, comment and subscribe. Bye bye.